Hi everyone.
Hey man, say man, it's Brother Charles.
And I'm Jasmine.
And this is the Hopefull Romantics podcast, quarantine edition.
Quarantine edition.
As you can see, we still stuck in the crib. So we just want to check in with y'all, see how y'all doing. We're going to tell y'all how we've been feeling, what we've seen, what we've experienced, what we hope to experience once outside opens back up. You feel what I'm saying? Once the lockdown is lifted. But before, we got to definitely go before the Lord in prayer. Everything that's going on. So Father God, in the name of Jesus, we ask that you place your unchanging hand on the globe, Lord. There are so many families, so many people in mourning as people have lost their lives, as people are healing from this unfortunate, devastating pandemic. We ask that you continue to protect your people and guide us into the next steps during this time of confusion and frustration, Lord. Grant all desires of the heart as we maneuver through this space, Lord, and remain at the center of our hearts and of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Els, how you feeling? The third thing that's going on. You good? Number one, let me see your tonsils.
What?
Nah, we gotta make sure that you
Oh my goodness.
a little warm.
I'm
just
fine.
saying.
Am I really?
Just a little bit.
I think it's hot in here actually. How have I been since the beginning of quarantine? One, I think
What was the beginning of quarantine?
it's funny. So I had a birthday party March 7th. The following Friday, we started social distancing.
Oh, you was the last hurrah of the
I
spring.
really was. My birthday was that Monday. I went to work that entire week, and that Friday was when we sent the kids home with 2 weeks worth of work. So initially, we were supposed to go back March 20th.
Son.
Yeah, March 14th or no,
Like,
it was
2
March
weeks
24th.
later.
Yeah, March 24th, and they pushed it back to April 14th. Now we're probably not going to go back to school, but
For sure.
they say March 14th. So it's been a minute.
March 14th, it's April right now.
April 14th. I keep being wrong. See, what day is it?
For sure.
What day is it really?
It's a day.
I just know it's Easter weekend.
The calendar he is risen in Jesus' name. Come on, somebody.
Oh my goodness. But I feel like before I can really talk about like how I've been feeling, I have to be definitely grateful that I have had a job through this whole thing. I've had a steady paycheck despite, not necessarily going into work, not necessarily teaching my kids every day in front of them. I've still been able to maintain a level of normalcy in that sense. I'm also in school, so my school is now online. I thought it was going to be better than it was, but I think being at home and having so much computer simulation is just
It's sickening.
so much. So I'm taking 2 classes online. I have to socially, or I have to distance teach my kids. So it's just a lot of sitting in front of a computer, trying to be as productive as possible. So that's been hard to find the motivation every day to like get up at a decent hour and check everything off my to-do list in order for me to feel like I had a good day, But when some days I wake up and I don't want to do anything, it's like, man. That's when you start to realize it's been day number
Who knows?
in the house.
It's been a month, right?
No, it's definitely been a month. No.
Oh, it's knocking on it for real.
Yeah.
Because you said, the week of March 7th?
Yeah.
And it's April something, past the 7th.
Ugh, wow.
So
And what's
it's been a
really
minute.
crazy is I think different people are feeling different things based on what your definition of social distancing was. So me and my roommate took it pretty seriously. The only place we went was the grocery store. And then in the very, very beginning, I was visiting Charles maybe like twice a week. But we weren't going anywhere. Like we weren't the ones who were taking walks outside. We weren't like finding some place outside to go to, whether it was a park or we weren't those type of people. So I think I felt it more just because I'm like, wow, I've really been doing this for a month.
Yeah.
Like, I really haven't made some wild excuse to travel, or like, I didn't even see my mother, who's 40 minutes away.
That's what it is.
So that's, and I see my mother.
She told you not to pull up.
She definitely did tell me not to pull up.
Like, stay away, shout it. Love you from afar.
She really did. And I see my mother once a week. So I went from seeing my mother once a week to not seeing my mother in a month. So I think that's been hard. Finding motivation, like I said, has been hard. And just being in the same place.
All the time.
Yeah. Like, I'm a homebody, but I don't like not having the option of leaving. You know, I don't like that someone has told me that.
You a homebody by choice.
Yeah, it's not by force. Like, I just don't like the idea of someone saying, like, you have to be in by 8 o'clock. Like, I'm 24 years old. That's not really how I live my life anymore. But,
emphasis on Eddie Boy.
But really.
They had to do.
They did. But how are you feeling? How's quarantining been?
So I said this a couple months ago. I was like, yo, I need this semester to end. Because I was like, just not feeling it. But it didn't have to end like this.
Yeah.
But my thing was like, if y'all was going to end the semester, end the semester.
Just end the semester.
Like,
end the semester. I know. Sorry, go ahead.
A Zoom class? No, whoever invented Zoom, shouts to you, but also you not the homie either. And I'm in the Masters of Divinity program, right? About the second and youngest person in my program. Shouts to everybody if you watching. But the 40 and up crowd completely has not grasped onto the idea of muting your mic.
And your camera. Why is your camera on?
Just turn your video
Why is your
off,
camera on? Nobody wants to see you get your cup of coffees, bathroom.
No, mute your mic. I don't really, your video, I'm not even really looking at you, because I can change my screen anyway.
You can.
Right? I can't, but if I gotta listen to you, you wildin'. I've heard people get cussed out by their peoples, heard people's dogs barking. This one girl was talking about how she went somewhere and someone was smelling bad. And I'm just like, yo, all this information, people's kids be saying big wild stuff to them. Like, mommy, like, come, like, yo, the business of your household is about to be exposed to everybody in class. Just go ahead. So Zoom class, pointless, completely unmotivated. Yeah. Thank God that they turned that joint to pass-fail, because even with pass-fail, I don't know, your boy is teetering the line.
Right.
But
stop it. No, you're not.
But yeah, so Zoom, trash. Learning virtually, garbaggio.
It's really hard.
Luckily, like, my sister and my mom stay kind of close, so I've been bouncing back and forth between both cribs, which is cool. Being around the fam is nice.
Right.
But one thing that I've had, like, yo, I can't look at the screen for too long. I've been on laptops, phones, watching TV, and like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I literally get headaches.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From just like looking at,
for sure.
I don't know, whatever, the fibers in the jump, like, it's entirely too much.
Yeah.
But I think the most frustrating thing to me has been just like the gradual aspect of it, where initially it was, bro, this is like the flu.
Yeah.
If you got a strong immune system, you straight.
Just wash
if
you're young. It's not, in the beginning, it was just old people and people with compromised.
In the beginning, black folk didn't even think we could get it, so we was out here like, come on. And then who got it? Somebody got it. Gordon off of the I forget which team he was on. Someone in the NBA got that joint. We was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then Idris got it, and all the ladies was like, whoa, Idris, please, Jesus. And then more came out of that. But like, I'm talking about what to do. So it was ain't no point in wearing a mask. Now, if you stepping outside without a mask on, you might get locked up.
Like, you're literally
it was, all right, we gonna like just chill for a couple of days. Now it's like 30 days, lock the city down.
Yeah.
Then it was, Italy has the most cases. Now, according to like today, America got like 500,000, and we had the most deaths out of everybody. Like, all these different pieces of information, and it just goes to show that America, number one, the government don't know what they're doing, but we know who at the top, so that makes all the sense in the world. Two, people are nasty on the regular,
Yeah.
And it took a pandemic for folks to really start using that hand soap in their bathroom. I'm very disappointed with a lot of you, for real.
Oh,
and also,
goodness.
if I see you out here, if I see your hands in the camera, and you don't have that little pocket of ash right here between your thumb and your finger, you're not washing your hands enough, and I need you to make the adjustment. But overall,
how are you feeling about this question?
I feel like I was talking to my sister about this. It's a very unfortunate situation because of the negative aspect of it. It's a disease going around that's knocking people out every day. But at the same time, it has been this complete cultural, worldly reset, right? It has completely obliterated capitalism as we know it. Has turned industries on top of their heads, right? It's exposed really every intricacy of white supremacy that has really like just ricocheted everybody into a level of like minority, right? And I think one dope part about all of this is it exposes how the systems at play really can be turned on their head at a moment's notice. You thought that there wasn't no space for homeless people out here in these streets, but they literally are opening up spaces just to get people to stop spreading it within the homeless shelters, right? There's a stimulus package going out right now that came out of $2 trillion that came out of the clear blue sky. You know what I'm saying? There's colleges out here that are like, SATs, GREs, all that. We don't need
You don't even need it.
We only did that to keep certain people, certain demographics out of our schools anyway. You know what I'm saying? Oh, student loans, what are those? Interest, take that out of there. Car loans.
Yeah.
Like all of that can be pushed away.
Right.
And what is the dollar after this point, bro? You said it wasn't enough money for like universal health care, for universal education, and then y'all was like $2 trillion in the back pocket. We got that. So I think that there's just so many different things that have been exposed, and if society is smart, especially as a Western society, if we stay like vigilant, we can literally hold these same people accountable when we're back to a level of normalcy. You can't tell nobody right now that it's not in the budget anymore. So to me, that gives me hope because for a long time, it was just like, we're just going to keep getting lied to and having to maneuver that system. So now there's a brand new system that's been exposed that we can maneuver now. So that kind of gives me a level of like sanity throughout all of this.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought about it a little bit.
You definitely did.
You feel me? But I kind of want to break down just a couple things that I've been thinking about during this whole time, and one of them is why do you think it takes a global pandemic for folk? And the Saints have been talking about this whole time was y'all should have been on your knees talking to Jesus. Y'all should have been doing what God was saying. It shouldn't take the end times to be exposed for you to talk to your Heavenly Father, right? But why do you think it takes a global pandemic for folk to really start tuning into what God is saying to them?
I think when we are placed in a position where you can't go anywhere and where you are is kind of where you are.
Where you are is where you at.
Like, you start to see what could be deemed distractions. Like, honestly, a lot of people don't consider that their job is necessarily a distraction. But when you're in the position where you're working from home and you're getting the same things done that you had to either drive, commute for, or be on business trips to do, or all these things that kind of take you outside of your home, like now you're seeing you can do all of that stuff in the same place and still have time to watch your kids. You still have time to, read the Bible. You still have time to do devotionals. You still have time to do all of these things that maybe were second. When you had all these things to do outside of your home. I think now people are seeing that a lot of things they're putting their energy into, they don't need to. They don't need to. Not to the extent that they were. Okay. I'm the type of person that I try. I really do try to read my word daily. I really do.
For sure.
Like, I will start a devotional, I will have books and, words that I want to not look up, but, if I wanted to read about joy, you know what I mean, or read about like hardships or whatever. Like I have like things that I want to study, you know, like I have like a longing to study. But when I come home and I've dealt with 9-year-olds for 8 hours, you know, and then I drove an hour home in my commute, you know, and I haven't eaten since 10 a.m. nor have I used the restroom since 1, you know, like it's, you get caught up in your daily life, or you get home and you're tired. You know, like now it's like, do I really want to sit down and read, or do I want to take this bath and go to bed? You know, so I feel like it takes a serious pause, a serious reset for you to realize that there was always time. You know, and I don't necessarily. Well, there's people who didn't recognize that was something that they needed to do, and then there's people that recognized it was something they needed to do but felt like they didn't have the time to do it. For sure. You know, I was on the time, I didn't have the time to do it, you know. So I feel like for me, the pandemic has really shown that when people say there's 24 hours in a day, like there's a lot of time in your day if you allocate it the way, if you put your priorities and you allocate your time based on your priorities, you know, instead of allocating your time the way that society has told you to allocate your time.
Basically what you're saying is like, if God gave us the opportunity now, right, to really prioritize however we see fit. Yeah. If we have been given the good health, we got a roof over our head, the fridge is filled with whatever you can get at the grocery store. Now you can sit down and talk to whoever's in your crib, right? You can read, you can do whatever you've been meaning to do for this long amount of time, right? And I think for me, I'm in a whole divinity program, and I know for a fact I could read my word more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of a shame. But at the same time, I think I've always had a difficult time with people telling me about how I should spend my time.
Yeah.
Like I have a very hard time with people telling me where I should be and when I should be, when I should be there. And I think that this whole period of time is a great opportunity for folks to really just kind of invest in themselves.
Yeah.
And invest in the people who they hold near and dear.
Yeah.
Because under the umbrella of capitalism, right, under the guise of capitalism, a lot of people don't have a choice. When the rent got to get paid, that's another jump. What is rent? You feel what I'm saying? Like, well, when the rent got to get paid, all those other things, right, you don't have an option to really just be like, you know, I'm going to take a few hours.
You know, I'm going to.
Tuesday, not coming. No,
it's not.
Some people don't even have that option, right? So now that is, I think that it's a great opportunity for folks to just like reset. Like you was talking about how your parents at your school didn't know how bad their kids were.
I think that's an overwhelming narrative that a lot of teachers and a lot of people in education are noticing. Is a lot of parents are reaching out and talking about the surprising attributes of their children. Whether that is
their kids is bad for real.
Whether that is behavior, whether that is academic, they're having a lot of revelations of like, I didn't know my child was, I didn't know my child does, I didn't know my child, you know, like I didn't know my child, you know, which is concerning. As a teacher, it is concerning when the parent of your students are
not in the know.
Yeah, because
of how sucky their kids are.
Stop it.
But no, actually, no. It's okay to really have a revelation about how your child is a little bit. Like,
I think it is. It has given people time to, it's a problem. Like, you should know your child. I'm going to start there. But at the same time, when you're looking at families of low economic status and the parent is they're both parents or one parent or whoever's at home, because sometimes it's not parents. But when they're going to work, and a lot of people in this area, there's a healthcare boom in this area. So a lot of people are working like night shifts, you know, or they go to work super early. So their kid is getting themselves together and going to school on their own, and they come back and they don't see their parent or whoever comes home until like 7, 8 o'clock, you know? So when so much is going on and so much of your time has to be spent outside just to like be able to feed your child and be able to support your child financially, I can see where the intricacies of learning your child are forgotten, you know, like, or they may not be forgotten, but you're tired. Like you don't, like, it's 8 o'clock, your kids are ready to go to sleep. Are you going to keep them up till 11 because you want to talk to them? You know what I mean? Or are you going to let them go to sleep so that you can get some rest, they can get some rest, and you can start all over again to the next day, you know?
Hopefully on the weekend we can catch up a little bit.
Exactly. But a lot of parents are working weekends too. So a lot of my kids spend weekends with neighbors, or they spend weekends with other family members. So it's sad when parents tell me that they didn't know their child was whatever, you know, because that really means that you're either choosing not to pay attention and you're just giving your kid to school and we're having strangers essentially raise your kid, or your life is so bombarded by all the things that you have to do that your child isn't top priority. You know, the character of your child isn't top priority because you're providing for them, so that is showing that they're a top priority. But when it comes to like who they are as people, you know, who you're raising in terms of like values and morals and like aspirations and things like that, those are things that's what's the word I'm looking for? That's a luxury, you know what I mean? That's a luxury to be able to not only provide for your child physically, but to provide for your child emotionally, you know, and spiritually. Like that's a luxury, and a luxury of time that a lot of people don't have. They just don't have. And I think the pause that a lot of people are on right now, they're having to face like who's in their house, you know. And I think that's not just kids, you know. Like you're seeing who your spouse is. And I thought about this the other day. I have a couple of friends who are married, not a lot, but I have a couple of friends who are married. And I think about them a lot. Like, I just think marriage is so interesting, and I just wonder like so many things about like what it's like to be married at our age. You know, 20s are hard. Like being in your 20s,
0 out of 10.
Like, would not recommend. Like, just go from what? So you could be 20 to 30, because the years in between is just messy. But I think about being married during this time, you know, and this pause, if you have kids or you don't have kids, like you're really having to look at your spouse and be like, this is you every day, all hours of the day, you know, at times where we wouldn't necessarily be interacting, you know. So like, what is my spouse like?
1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday.
Like, what is my spouse like getting off work? Like getting off work.
5 o'clock.
Not after the commute where they've had time to wind down, you know, maybe listen to some music, maybe, you know, have a little time of their own before they walk into your house. No. What is your spouse like? What is your partner like the second they get off of an 8-hour shift?
Just gave the deliverable.
You know, like,
clocked out, said peace out.
What are they like? You know, what are your kids like all day long? Are they nice?
Honestly, no, I think it's important because, like, for folk who are just in the crib with like mom, dad, brother, sister, like, who might not have even had the opportunity to really spend more than 2 days together in the past like few months, maybe a few years. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who have really been grinding. And I was talking to my folks about this. It's like folk are probably spending more time, consistent days inside the homes that they pay for. Years on end. People be paying rent, mortgages on spaces that they haven't had an afternoon in on a weekday ever. Like, that to me is ridiculous, because like, wow, there's literally something at bay that has kept them away from that, right? That has kept them from the opportunity to just sit down and possibly have a healing conversation with a family member who they might have been avoiding. And didn't have the time to really talk to about whatever was bothering them, because both of y'all have shifts at the same time. And like you said, by the time you get back to the crib, I'm not talking to you.
And you get to have that distraction. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
When you're leaving the house to go to work every day or
Like,
going to school or whatever, you can really use that and be like, oh, I don't have time. You have time. You've always had time.
You just don't want to make it.
Exactly. So like now you're sitting there and you're like, oh, well, it's day 10. I'm at home and, you know, I'm still very upset about what you said 21 days ago. You know what I mean? And now you have the time to actually have that conversation with that person.
You ain't going to keep passing them in the kitchen every time you go get a bowl of Frosted Flakes.
You can, but it's going to get real hard. It's going to get real hard.
You're going to have to break the ice. And I think that is also another great opportunity for what's going on. And people might scoff at this idea because I don't know everyone's family dynamic. And it might be harder for some folks to talk to family members than other people. But I think that this is a great time not only to just relax and have like unwarranted, just pure chill time, because I think a lot of people have been like condemning folk for just chilling during this time period, which is weird because this is like this is historic.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, just let people play the game, go to sleep, wake up, and just go back to bed. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I think this is unprecedented in the way that it is allowing people to just be, and it's uncanny to me the fact that, well, I've been grinding this whole time, but there was a couple of days where I kind of just let myself relax. And I really can't remember a time where I could relax without any consequence since like I was in high school.
Yeah. When
you ain't got no bills, no real live responsibilities, and life is almost blissful. Almost, because in high school sometimes we were over dramatic about stuff that wasn't that big of a deal, right?
No.
But a lot of people had this opportunity to just sit and exist and really live for real. Enjoy the pleasantries of life in the most simplest of fashions. And that kind of opens up to me, like unlocks this level of your brain that has been closed down because there were so many outside pressures that were bogging you down the whole time. And that can lead to some really healing conversations. So hopefully my prayer is, if folk are getting to that point, that they use this opportunity to have some really dope conversations. And then once there's a level of normalcy that takes us away from these moments again, that we kind of like get into the practice of reeling ourselves back in to really make that a repetitive process.
I saw a post on Instagram and it said, I told you about this, so hopefully I don't mess it up. It said, once this is all over, everyone's going to be rushing back to normal. But in this time, we need to really consider what's worth rushing back to. And I thought that was really interesting because I think when this goes back to normal, it's going to be very different than what we were coming from. Like jobs who were 100%
not remote.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the opposite of remote?
I'm saying physically in that job.
For jobs where you had to commute or you had to drive, you had to physically leave your space to go into the office.
Cross state lines into the city.
That have been able to transition into remote jobs. To me, if I was in that position, I'm not because I'm a teacher, but if I was in that position, when my contract is up for renewal or I'm applying for another job, to me, you should be able to have a little wiggle room to say, I want X amount of days remote. Because you can do it. It's been done. I have done it. And here is the proof that I am efficient and I'm effective in my home.
What are your post-Rona updates?
What are they? Because you don't have to go back to
what we knew beforehand.
Spending your time on so much of what other people are telling you to do, telling you where to be. And in this time, you've been able to really, hopefully, recognize like what you need, you know, and if you need, and if you know that you can be productive in doing your job twice a week from your home, like I hope people will have the courage to say like, this is what I need, you know, to be my most effective self, to be my most efficient self, for me to bring what you need from me and and I can still be okay at the end of the day. I can still be healthy in all facets of my life. Like I know what I need now, and I hope people will be better advocates for themselves after this and returning to normal. Like what does that mean for you? You know, what is your new normal for you to be in the best place, you know, health-wise? So
yeah, for sure. And when it comes to like going back to what's worth going, like what's worth really
rushing that
pursuing.
too, right?
I think when I'm talking to folk like our age, like 20s and like knocking on 30, I don't know if it's just me, but there was this like looming pressure, right? This like unhealthy looming pressure to always be productive, to get to this bread by any means necessary.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Sleep when I'm dead mentality. Where
That's just not healthy.
And my thing is like my degree has a specific amount of years connected to it. So a lot of things just aren't about to happen until that process is over with, right? And there's a lot of people who are in similar positions where it's like there is an actual set date to where certain things should be where they're supposed to be. And I think in that meantime, that waiting time is just filled with a frenzy of like, but am I doing enough while I'm trying to pursue something else? It's wild because it's like I'm pursuing something every day. I'm getting closer to something, but for whatever reason, society has told us that like, all right, while you're doing that, bro, you need to be doing about 26 other things. You need 26 streams. That's why 26 streams. That's why I still wake up with people in my DMs talking about if I want to make some money today. The answer is always no, and a block. Get off of my timeline and out of my inbox. But honestly and truly, it's like we cannot allow ourselves. It's gonna happen, but we have to be cognizant of it. We cannot allow ourselves to fall back into the trap that is this unnecessary pursuit of productivity. Because just because you're busy doesn't always mean you're productive. And you have to be patient and allow the Lord to really order your steps. Because I've fallen into the trap where I'm like, I'm gonna just oop, a door open. I must walk through that jump. And then before you know it, there's a trap door waiting for me. And then I'm back to square one. And I gotta walk through 3 more doors to get to where I was initially, right? Simply because I have to feel innately that like I'm doing something instead of just, sometimes there's so much beauty that can just come from chilling. Just being like, I'm gonna chill on that. Like, oh, nah, I'm gonna cool it. I'm gonna just wait. And my sister was telling me, sometimes you get what you pray for, but a lot of times you get what you wait for, right? And at this point, I would much rather get what I wait for, right? Because we might pray for a new job. Lord, I ain't got no ends. The rent due. The car is almost about to get repoed. I need me a job today, right? And then a job opened up for a little bit less than what you wanted, but it was a job. Thanks God. And you go ahead and grab that jump. But if you would have waited, right, and be like, that's not at least the bare minimum of what I was looking for. I know I'm struggling, but I'm gonna wait. You wait, and then the Lord is like, here you go, bro. And it's double what you asked for. With the bennies, you know what I'm saying? Everything and then some. And I think that this time period of just kind of waiting for a lot of things to happen will allow people to be put into a position that was better than they ever could have prayed for.
I think, wow, you just said a lot of things. I was like, ooh, I want to touch on that, and then I forgot it. And then I want to touch on that, and I forgot it. But the main thing is, I think also this time has given people the space to really figure out like where their faith is in all of this. You know, when you haven't been to work in over a month, whether you're working remotely or you unfortunately laid off or you don't have a job right now, like where is your faith? Like, is your faith in the government? Is your faith in people? Is your faith in, you know, is your faith in God? You know, is your faith in whatever realm of spirituality? Like, is that where it is? Truly, honestly and truly, because this is a trying time where there can be, which is very interesting, despite it all, like there can be a level of peace in all of this, you know. And which is interesting because, like I said, even though I have had a job through this whole thing, like there's just so many different pieces of my life moving around right now, that I can be very anxious, you know, like I can be in a very anxious position just because like I had a plan.
Didn't we all?
I had a plan, and a pandemic was not in my plan. You know, like I had dates, I had deadlines, and all of it has just been tossed out. Like, and it's crazy because like this plan was very serious to me. Like I had, like if this was something, like my goals were in it, like I had things that I needed to get done, like bam, 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 like I was on a mission, and somebody in some far off office was like, we're just gonna take this out, we're just not gonna do this anymore, and literally just flipped my whole plan on its head, right? And at that moment, you make a decision. Like when your plans become obsolete and really you don't know which way to go at this point. Like you don't know if you made the wrong decision, you don't know what decision to make. You don't even know if there's a decision to be made. You're just there, And in that moment, you have to decide, like, am I going to have faith in what God has told me and where God is saying that he's leading me? Or am I going to start to get frantic and just do something, And that's hard.
Ooh, boy.
That's hard. It's hard to, one, be in a pandemic and go through all of this. You know what I mean? Like,
no one can really come for you for whatever decision you make.
For real, because people are dying. People are dying. People are
scared, frightened, terrified.
Like, you don't know what to do. This is something new. Like, no, you can't call up grandma and be like, Grandma, what happened when COVID-19 was around? Like, like this is new for so many people, And I think especially, and it's interesting because a lot of people our age would go to people older than them, but like
this is the first time they dealing with something like this too.
Exactly. My mother literally told me, you can't come visit. While my world is being flipped upside down, the people that I would go to aren't really accessible in this time.
Jeez.
So you by yourself have to decide, like, which way am I going to lean? And with that, like when you choose to lean on the side of what the Lord is telling you and where the Lord is taking you, like there's a level of peace. And so despite it being a pandemic, despite not being able to be or go and talk to or confide in the people that you normally would have, like there's a level of peace despite all of that, and that's something that's been interesting to experience because it's the complete opposite of what everyone's telling you should be feeling right now.
That's very true.
So like I have a sense of peace, but everyone's telling me I should be afraid. Especially being a teacher where everything changes from day to day. People are feeling like next fall, like half the teachers aren't going to have jobs because they're not going to need as many, or they don't need as many now. So you may not have a job, next week, or they're not going to pay us as much because we're not in front of the kids for 8 hours. Like all of these things, and I'm just like, look.
It sounds like it's a whole bunch of people talking now.
But that's what happens in a pandemic. That's what happens when people are scared. That's what happens when your plans aren't plans anymore. Like that's what people do. They talk, they speculate, they do what they can, and talking is what they can do.
And that's why you shouldn't put faith in man.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's what the word says. Don't put faith in man alone. Because this whole time, folk have really just been speculating from the
very beginning.
From the rooter to the tutor, from the top to the bottom. Folk have just said what they thought was right at the time. Oh, that Rona? Like I said, Rona, it's a flu.
Yep.
Wash your hands, shouty.
Yep.
Now it's don't go outside by any means necessary. Even if you go to the grocery store, get bread and Lysol and go back to your house and expeditiously. Like, it went from this to that, like, in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows man don't really know. Like, humankind does not know what we're doing.
And they're not in control.
At all.
Like, we really aren't. It's as simple as that. Like, and we can pretend like we are until something like this happens. When there is nothing, you know what I mean? There's really nothing.
What is life but a cycle of acting like you knew what was going on, and then something happens and you gotta be like, God, my fault. Let me reel it in. My fault.
Let me fall back.
You got it, Jesus. And take literally, how many times do you be like, Jesus, take the wheel? And this is probably the biggest one. Jesus, take like the 18-wheeler for real. But my thing is, after all of this has run its course, right? The main takeaway I know for me is don't forget when like everything was shut down and you could only look to the hills from which coming for your help. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't forget that quickly that man really ruined a whole bunch of, like, if it wasn't for us, we wouldn't even be going through this right now. Folk would really just disregarded everything that we were supposed to do. It didn't do enough research. It didn't do enough testing. And a lot of things could have been prevented simply because of human error. You feel what I'm saying? And that's really what life is. It's just maneuvering human error after human error after human error until you recognize that there's only one entity that doesn't have any error. And until we really lean into that, until we really lean into God and recognize that, we're going to be running in circles for God knows how long.
And we're going to continue to look to people and society and government and whatever entity that you get your level of peace from, I guess, or security from, and really realize that it's nothing. Like, it's nothing but more people speculating, you know, more people trying to do the best that they can, but with the same knowledge, really a little bit more knowledge, but like still with knowledge from other men, you know. It's just, like you said, like it's a cycle of, you know, not knowing, realizing you don't know, and then
being like, God, come get me. Honestly and truly, like, once you recognize that, that's where the level of peace really should come in. Is that regardless of everything that's going on, God got me. God got us above all. So yeah, man, I think we say all this to say, stay hopeful and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay at home. Please stay healthy.
Yes, please
stay safe. You feel me? We always appreciate y'all watching, tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, all that. Follow us on the gram at the Hopefull Romantics. Follow us on Twitter at Hopefull Podcast. Follow us on Facebook
at the
Hopefull Romantics Podcast. All that good stuff. And we're gonna see y'all next time.